entertainment, business, and local communities, while making positive influences on the lives of others.
Hello, welcome to Producer's Profile. My name is Orville Nelson, and my co-host is the beautiful Stella Winston. Hello, Stella.
Hi, Orville.
Today, our guest is Larry White.
That's right.
Who is the producer of Inner Beat.
That's correct.
Welcome, Larry White.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Okay, great.
Welcome, Larry.
Thank you,
Now,
Stella.
is your show a weekly or is it a monthly?
It's a monthly show. It comes on the second Friday of every month at 5 p.m. It's pretty much a variety show. I try to show things that pertain to today's current events. Occasionally I'll mix in a little dance from parties that I've shot. Also speakers. I've done a lot of shows about women and some of their problems, such as breast cancer. And I have one coming up soon. It's going to talk about the mutilation of women in Africa. So I try to keep it interesting.
Your topics are varied, quite varied.
Exactly, yeah.
But community focused.
Exactly, yeah.
And what channel does it
I
on?
believe it's on Time Warner. It's 34 and 67 on Cablevision.
Yeah, that always throws me too when people ask me, because it's two stations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I can't even get it because in my building we have satellite, and of course, if you have satellite, you can't get BCAT.
Is that called direct? Is that called direct?
The hardwire direct. No, not really direct. It's
Okay.
a hardwire is what BCAT has, and if you have satellite, you can't get it.
And people should be aware of that if they do get direct TV or some types of satellite, they will then forfeit public access.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
What was the very first show that you did, Larry? Tell us about that.
Actually, I think it was probably a wedding, which came off pretty good considering it was my first show.
So excuse me, you did a show?
Right.
A wedding for BK?
Oh, my very first
Yeah.
show.
Oh, now
for
you talking about
BCAT.
shoot? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, you're going way back. Okay.
Right, right.
So your experience predates your time here at BK.
Exactly. I've been shooting videos for 10 years, actually.
Okay. So in terms of your first show at BCAT, what was it like and what was it?
It was something that I had done prior to becoming a producer at BCAT. It was a women's conference which took place out of Rochdale Village in Queens, and it had varying speakers. The editor of Essence magazine, Dr. Goldsby Grant, and others who were speakers.
You said Goldsby Grant?
Yes.
Okay.
She's a sexologist for Essence magazine.
Okay, great.
Okay. What do you do for your day job?
I'm an investigator for the Legal Aid Society in Brooklyn Family Court, and my cases are many. Basically, I deal with crimes that are committed to and by children 16 years and younger.
Now, in the news recently, there were several young males about the age 9, 10, and 11 that were arrested for sexual harassment. They were groping a young girl.
9, 10, 11-year-olds.
Yeah, they were that young. What happens to students that are arrested?
Yeah,
for
the
something like-
process.
Yeah, what's the
Talk
process?
us through the
Basically, it's the same process that a grown-up would go through. They're taken out of the school, taken to the precinct, documented, and incarcerated. Usually in Spofford, which is a place up in the Bronx, and there's another place now in East New York on Bristol Street. I can't
This is
remember.
before, excuse me, Larry, this is before a trial?
Oh, yes. And they have to come in front of a judge in family court just like you would in criminal court or Supreme Court. Well, not Supreme Court, but in criminal court. And then corporate counsel, instead of calling them prosecutors, for juveniles it's called corporate counsel. If the child doesn't have a lawyer, then he'll be assigned a lawyer just like you would as a grown-up, be it a legal aid lawyer or an 18B lawyer. And then an evaluation is made on whether or not the kid is a danger to society, and if he is, then he will be held.
Now, we mentioned this earlier, and I was saying that as a youngster myself, I interacted in the same kind of way, touching up folk, touching up folk, you know, bad boy. But no one ever arrested us. We might have gotten a stern talking to by an adult, but we're never arrested. It seems like we're in a different age now.
Well, we are, and I think society has felt it's necessary now to be a little harsh on individuals, no matter what their age, because of the escalating crime rate.
Well, it doesn't sound like a little harsh. It sounds like very harsh to me. But tell me, we have a tape here.
Yeah, we have a clip. Like, what I wanted to know is that this clip is going to show us how you've taken your experience with the day job, what you've learned from your day job, and how you have carried it over to production, video production.
It's basically a start. There's so many things that that have to be said about what goes on in today's society, pertaining not just to grown-ups, but to children. My focus is on the children because I feel that I can help them, as opposed to grown-ups who've already made up their minds, and you know, it's much harder to help a grown-up than it is a child.
And this B-roll we're going to see is
it's
anything
about child
specific.
abuse.
It's about child abuse.
Right.
So we're going to go right to that,
Okay.
to this cut, this tape.
I'll beat some sense into that little head of yours if it's the last thing I do.
I hate you. You're not my child. I don't know where you came from. I only beat you because I love you.
You're coming back for the tape.
No, that was very interesting, Larry. It seems that you were sending a message about how parents should not use physical abuse to discipline their child, and that it's a confusing message that when I beat you, that means that I love you.
And it's a message that too many kids are getting. There's two types of abuse. There's more than two, but two specific types, mental and physical. And, you know, kids nowadays know their rights. Okay. As an investigator, I find that all the time when I go to schools, because the kid has told a counselor or a social worker that they're getting beatings from their parents, when in actuality the parent is not beating them any more than I was beat when I was a kid. So, yeah, it's a very confusing area, and you need to have control over your children. And I mean, if you're not being abusive, I don't know who has the right to tell you how to raise your child.
So do you feel, without any scientific research, that the physical abuse of children has a lot to do with their ill behavior or misbehavior in general?
I think it's twofold. You can have not enough discipline as well as too much discipline. It's really a hard line to draw.
And like you mentioned, giving a mixed message.
Exactly.
Which is dangerous.
Exactly.
Now, what type of shows would you like to do to, let's say, explore an issue like that?
Well, I would like to collaborate more with other producers such as yourselves and do some remote shoots where we can go out actually into society and some foster homes and group homes, which I think is very important. There's a lot of kids who, you're a teacher, I'm sure you know about kids who come from group homes to schools and the problems they face in
Yeah, a
group
lot of
homes.
times they're very unstable. They stay for maybe part of the year and then they disappear, or maybe a week or two and then they disappear.
Exactly.
So another level you envision, again, doing is to somehow sum up some of our strengths and put it together.
Exactly.
And then move out into the community.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Larry, you've won an award
Right.
for your work.
Right.
And it was called a Telly.
A Telly Award.
Telly Award, yes.
And tell us a little bit about the Telly. Where is it from?
The Telly is based in Cincinnati, Ohio. And basically what you do is you write them, and each year they send you an application. And what you do is you film something that you feel is good, and you send it to them, and they review it. They have judges who are other video producers such as yourself. And, you know, if it reaches a certain criteria, you win an award for it, just like you would an Emmy.
And what year did you win it? Was it in 2000?
It was for a show. It was in 2000 for a show I did in 1999.
And what was the name of the show?
Well, it has the same name as the title of my show, The Inner Beat.
Inner Beat, but the subject.
But the subject was Kwanzaa, right?
Right, and it was shot at the Hendrick Clark House, which is up in Manhattan, across the street from the old Alexander Hamilton.
Could you say the name
House.
again? Excuse me. I love that name.
The Inner Beat.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the, whose house was it?
The Hendrick Clark House.
Hendrick
John
Clark,
Hendrick Clark
which
House,
people should
right.
really know that
Right.
name.
Why should we know that name?
Larry, why don't you tell us why we should know the name?
He's an educator, and this house was bought specifically for him. And he's a powerful black figure. He's since passed away, but...
Historian.
Yes, exactly. Do you know something about him?
Oh, I know in general about him that he's written, and he's actually given forums. I've attended some of the forums. And he is a rock for the people of color community, specifically black.
Exactly.
All right. Now, we do have
we have a clip, right?
And we want to show that now.
And this is the clip of the show that you won the Telly for.
Exactly. We'll have two speakers. One is the Reverend Alfonso Wyatt.
Right.
And the other one is Regent Dr. Adelaide Sanford.
Okay.
And these are excerpts from the speeches that they gave at this event.
And this show was specifically about Kwanzaa.
Right, and it's every year they have this show.
Okay.
Roll tape.
Yes, let's go.
Roll tape.
Honored to be here, to be amongst brothers and sisters from all over. Brothers and sisters who know what it means to share. Brothers and sisters that know what it means to care, to give back, to make sure that those who don't have will have. I think I'm in the right place when I look around and I see faces that have gone through great trial and tribulation. I think I'm in the right place, and I think the John Henry Clark House is the right place for brothers and sisters to come together to nurture one another. I think I'm in the right place where I see children who feel protected and safe and loved and nurtured. I believe that I'm in the right place where people still have dreams and still have some things that they want to accomplish, no matter what their age is, no matter what obstacles or setbacks or getbacks that got in their way. I believe that I'm in the right place. Am I in the right place? Is there any brothers and sisters here that know what I'm talking about? I know that I'm in the right place because there's some folk that know the word of sacrifice. In a time, in a space, in a place where people want to get all they can get, do all that they can do, they forgot the word of sacrifice. If the truth
Kwanzaa.
Just a second.
The spirit of Kwanzaa must make the fire burn. It was difficult sometimes making these candles light. It's going to be difficult sometime in your life. Lighting the flame of your hope, resisting the temptation to give in, thinking that you have it made and it's your time now. It's not your time. Your time has not come to stop. Your time has come to keep on keeping on. May I share with you a story that epitomizes the confusion of some of our people. And it's a story that I heard at my grandmother's knee. My grandmother, who was a chattel slave in this country, by the laws of this country. And I am her granddaughter, who's gone to jail 4 times in the United States of America, so that men of African ancestry could have a job, so that children could have.
Larry, the speakers there that we saw was for the Kwanzaa message was Brother Reverend Alfonso Wyatt.
That's correct.
And for the closing remarks, we saw a little piece of that is Sister Dr. Adelaide Sanford.
Right.
Okay.
And that particular show was sponsored by the Board for the Education of People of African Ancestry.
Exactly. And they have a Kwanzaa show at that house every year, and they have different speakers. They had one this year, and Ron Daniels, who's the head of the Center for Constitutional Justice, was the speaker. So it's really interesting, and it's something we should all get in tune with.
It sounds like I'd like to make the next one.
What does the Telly Award look like, by the way?
It's a tall statue. It's just like an Emmy. It's a bronze statue with the wings in the back. Only thing that's missing is the globe.
Now, when you got that award, you mentioned a certain criteria. What is the criteria for actually being recognized? You mentioned editing.
Right. It's basically the whole video. Okay. They look at the content, of course. They look at how it's edited. Subject matter, and it's judged by other producers like myself.
Now, what has been your, let's say, worst moment with production?
Well, you know, the good thing about doing a show that's not live is you can go over your mistakes, and I've made many. I think the learning process for producers is a long one. You're constantly learning.
Yes, you're all constantly learning.
I've had times when I've done interviews with 5 people and got home and played the tape and there was no sound because we neglected to turn on the microphone.
Very much so.
Shooting into light and getting a dark picture because you have backlight. There's just, even till today, there's always something to aggravate you. It's really hard to make a perfect video.
But can you see progress with yourself?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I see progress with this stuff.
I mean,
I'm
come
never
on.
satisfied, though. I'm never really satisfied. I'm probably my own worst critic.
Well, we're going to take a musical interlude right now, and we'll be right back.
All right. Yes. I seem to have an ear. And the artist that was playing?
That Rashid Bey.
Rashid Bey, doing Moonlight Sonata,
Sonata.
which you recognize. Great ears.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Now back to Larry White. I must tell the viewing audience that Larry White has taught me everything there is to know about being technical director. He is the best.
He is good. I remember when I first came, he taught me a lot here also.
See, the fact that I've been doing it so long and I meet people who really into it and interested, it's like we talk the same language, and you can tell the people who have the talent, who want to do good, and you are two of those people. So it's,
Thank you.
Silver
So
tongue. Silver
it
tongue.
was really easy.
Now, in terms of what you really want to do with your particular show now, you mentioned that you want to actually join together with other like-minded producers. You said like ourselves.
Yes.
And and you'd like to do something, move it out into the community. When do you foresee doing this?
Well,
starting this process?
I don't think it should take us more than 6 months to start developing.
Because I'm online.
Yeah.
I'm online. I'm
to
waiting.
start developing a pattern where we can, find interesting events and get out there. And, right now I work with Sidney Mouchette, who has his own show, Bedford-Stuyvesant and beyond.
Which I've gone out and worked with him also remotely.
Exactly. And so, I'm not opposed to going out with any producer and helping them technically if they don't have the same expertise. Technically, they might know all the people, but they just technically can't handle the shoot. I'm going to be more than happy to go out with them.
I would definitely be willing to work with you on a show about children. Like you mentioned, going to the foster homes.
Right, right.
That would be very interesting.
Now, personally, you're a Vietnam veteran.
Right.
Okay, what years did you serve?
From 66 to 67, I did 2 tours.
I don't take that lightly. I don't actually believe in war and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
But I don't,
either,
but you were there and
in
you,
my days, see, if you didn't go, you got locked up.
we're talking about Muhammad Ali, yeah?
You can't, my parents didn't want me to go to Canada. They wanted me to do what I had to do. And I wouldn't trade that experience for anything.
Now, I'd have to, I think, bring you on one of my shows to talk about this a little more in depth when you look at the different things that goes on with the military, from Agent Orange, to how folks are treated, which is very important. Because if you're going to send your son and daughter, you want to make sure that the government who's sending them over there is going to take the absolute care.
Well, you see, when you hear the word GI, do you know what GI means? Does anybody
No,
know?
I don't think so.
Government issue. So you're a piece of property. If you play around with another sailor or another soldier and you accidentally hit him in the face and you knock a tooth out, you're guilty of damaging government property.
Okay. Well, Larry, I'm sorry, we have to cut this
What's the name of Larry's program again?
It's
The
Inner Beat.
Inner Beat.
And it's a monthly. And when does it come on again?
Wednesdays at 5.
We've been speaking with Larry White,
And thank you, Larry,
Yes,
for being here.
thank you for
We look
being here.
forward to working with
Working with
in the
you.
near future on a higher level.
And he is a winner of a Telly Award. He won it in the year 2000.
Thank you.
Well, you're just really buttering him up, aren't you?
He's one of the best.
Well, I want to just say thank you to folks for tuning in to Producer's Profile. I'm Orville Nelson, and
I'm Stella Winston.
okay. I like the little song. He had like a stone.